Hey guys, welcome to another episode Real Shit Let's Talk podcast. Hey, I'm your host JR. Listen, guys, got something in store for you today. Today, I want to talk about the losses that built me. Right? It's we can talk about the wins, but I'm gonna talk really about the losses. So I start by saying sometimes with the losses, it was just like, dang, I didn't know what to really think about it. I was really just thinking, like, I felt sorry for myself at one point, and then I was just like, man, I can't even really relate to just on my sorrows of just losing. And I didn't want people to have sympathy for me because I was already felt, sad for myself. But that's usually what happens sometimes when you're going through some losses. Like I spent countless money on like a clothing brand, which I didn't know at first. Like I was just trying to make some quick money, and then after learning that, it was like, hmm, you know what I have to do? I need to start like not only learning from mentors or learnings from everybody else that failed, but I started watching like my YouTube, YouTube University. I did that, and as when I started building the clothing brand, I wanted a distinctive name for myself. I wanted something that was different that could be street brand worthy, fashion worthy, and I came up with Audit 360, right? Which means aiming up to improve. As you see the hoodie I got on today. And I started going through so many different like manufacturers and losing money on that and making some money back on that. But at the end of the day, I said, I need to learn. And so I got in touch with some few influencers and different things of that nature. And then after a while, I pretty much made my money back. And then I was really, really interested in like being on the radio. And so some things that like I really wanted to do on the radio, I wanted to be one of those like smooth jam people, guys, with the little raindrops in the back and just like, yeah, hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, hey, this is JR on the, radio. Or I just wanted to be, the person that people could actually listen to and get something from. And then I learned that like I was talking, who are your real friends, right? So then I thought I knew a couple of people. I thought about uh, who could help me. And then they told me that I couldn't do it. So then my mindset was wrong. I started really just feeling like I could do it. I knew I could, but they were telling me that I couldn't. And I believed it. So then I lost my mindset. And then I turn around and then I was just like, okay, well, I guess I'm not cut for this and I'm cut for that. But I really, really was really like, hey, God, I really need to do something that's going to help me move forward or that's going to get me to the next level and how I want to be and things that I want to do. And I just want to be able to talk to the people. I want to be able to serve the people. And I give examples or I give advice that would help and save somebody so that my pain wouldn't be somebody else's pain, but they would learn because that would be my purpose is to serve. And so then I one day, scrolling as we do on the social media handles, I was like, man, I just wish I had something. And an ad came through and it happened to be David Shands. And it was like, hey, you ever want to do something that your voices is heard? You ever feel like you got something that you want to just give to the people and sell and like sell them on their stories and let them know who you are and be able to really captivate your audience? I was like, man, God, is this you? I thought about it. And as I thought about it, I said to myself, I said, wow, let me, let me, let me look into it. He says, oh, listen, on Sunday at 6:30, I'm gonna have a webinar. I ain't never been on no webinar. I looked at it and I was just like, somebody trying to get some money or something. I don't know. But then another voice inside me was like, go check it out. What do you have to lose? So as I started to go about it. I called a couple friends. Nobody really knew about it or whatever. And I checked it out 6:30 on Sunday because he was like, "Hey, we'll see you there. Don't be a square." And kind of captivated me in. So then I got on there, and as I got on there, I turned around and like I was listening. He was like, "Hey, I'm gonna show you the makeup of how podcasting has gotten me to X, Y, and Z, 6 and 7, 8 figures." And I was like, "Podcasting, what's that? I don't know nothing about it." But as he went on with the story lines, he ended up saying where he worked at the Cheesecake Factory, y'all. They have some good cheesecake out there too, because I'm an undercover fat kid, low key. But he worked at the Cheesecake Factory and he still had all these audacious ideas of what he's going to do. And so, first is set a plan, write down the plan. And just because you pivot doesn't mean you lost the vision or the dream. You just have to do other things in order to get to that one thing, of which is your solution or what you want to be or where you want to go. And so as he was telling it and we was going through it, I was just listening to him, and he started a t-shirt brand, right? Called Sleep is for Suckers. And one of his good friends was like a promoter or a DJ, and he knew a lot of the local artists, new artists, and different things of that nature. And so his thing was like, "Hey, if I get my shirts onto these artists or within the building of the clubs, people are really going to start buying it." And he did it. He did it. He knew it. He kept growing. And he kept trying and trying and trying and doing it. Well, not trying, just doing. That's another thing. We got to take the word from trying to doing. So then he turned around and he was doing pretty decent while still working at the Cheesecake Factory, right? As he did that, then he turned around and then opened up like a kiosk. And y'all know, kiosks in the mall back in the day, if you in the 80s, baby, them kiosks used to be the hot thing. You get some off the kiosk versus, some of the stores. But he opened up a kiosk while still working at the Cheesecake Factory. And then on top of that, he opened up a second kiosk. Not only did he do that, he still turned around and managed to still work at the Cheesecake Factory. So then at the end of this, he was saying all these things of what it took and the structure to get there, right? And when he did that, he just kept building, and he had the faith and belief that he could keep going. And so one of the things I had to do for myself was that I learned that I need to start action. I need to put action, I need to put a plan together. And so like at the end of this webinar, he was like, "Hey, podcast summit, Miami, at the Intercontinental Hotel in Miami." I had to be there. I was like, I don't know what I got to do, but I got to get there. And so, give me 1 second. So one thing that I had to do was like, I had to pay for a ticket. And not only just a general ticket, I said to myself, I said, well, bosses don't take losses, they learn lessons. And so if this is a lesson that I'm supposed to learn, then I'm going in. And so he was like, "I got masterminds, I've got VIP, I got all stars, and I got general." Well, me being who I am, I was like, man, I'm not a general person. I gotta go above and beyond. So I did the masterminds, right? Did the masterminds, flew down to Miami, and I got picked up by a chauffeur in my dream car, which was the 745 Li BMW, fully loaded, twin turbos, moonroof, everything. It was really, really nice. I never been picked up like that before. And I had on my clothing brand and everything. And I was just like, man, if this is how the top 1%ers live, I need to be like this. I need to do that. And so as I began to do that, I was like, he was recording me getting in and out. And then when we got to the hotel, I got footage of that. And I'm like, I'm here. I feel like I made it. And didn't really have a clue of what was going on, but I had my pen and I had a notebook because I had to get these notes. And as I began to go through the different techniques of different things that was going on, I told myself, I said, I'm here for a reason, not a season, and I'm gonna live out my purpose. And so as I went into the rooms, I got to meet David Shands, but also too, while buying the masterminds, I got to add that is that I got to have a small interview with him, and I never did that before. I didn't know what that was. I was nervous. I felt like I really messed up. And, when I went, but I was really happy that I went because guess what? This is David Shands. I don't know who this guy really is, but guess what? When I checked out, did my homework on him, he was really good. He was the best in the game, you know? So as I'm down there in Miami, I'm going through the different, podcast summit days, and we're just having a good time, and I'm learning different things. And as I continue to grow, I continue to like just meet and network with different people. So then I started my podcast because of him, but I didn't know how much the machines or the equipment and stuff like that cost. I was really just like, I'm gonna do it and whatever. But as I began to know and learn quickly that these mics that we speak on, it's like $189. Not to talk about you don't get the stand, you just get the cord and the mic. Then you got the Rodecaster 1 or the Rodecaster Pro 2. You got that right there alone is $800. Who has that? Not me. I ain't got it. So I felt like I said I bit off too much, or a bit more than I could chew. And I became a little discouraged. And I was like, I'm going to do it, but I don't think I'm going to do it. And just so happens that back at home at work, we had Secret Santa, and I didn't know who my Secret Santa was. And I told God, I don't have the money for this. I guess it's not for me. And you know, it is what it is. I'll just find the next thing going. And just so happens that my Secret Santa, me doubting and thinking that I could not afford the mics and everything that I needed, my Secret Santa ended up buying me starter mics to start my podcast. And I was like, thank you, God. Here's your sign. So that was a sign. And so I was like, I got it. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna make this happen. I had no choice but to make it happen. And I don't think I can. I know I can. And I gotta make it happen and take action. So I did. So I recorded my first podcast, guys, on this phone right here. This very phone right here. You probably can't tell because we had some, good edits and different things of that nature. But I recorded my first podcast and I was really happy, and I did it in a Waffle House. Can y'all believe that? I recorded my first podcast in a Waffle House. And, you know, shout out to Alexander the Great, let him know. I sat there and recorded a manager at Waffle House to talk about him and how he began in his journey and different things of that nature. Go check out the episode too. It's really fire. Like after we did it, I was so thankful that I didn't give up and that I kept going forward. That it didn't stop that momentum. I recorded it and then I had to put it on the platform, and I did that. But first, you have to have like an outro, intro type of thing. So I put a trailer before and then dropped his, and then we hit 1K on Facebook. It was like, wow. I don't know what that feels like to y'all, but that felt like victory for me. Then, as time goes on, I recorded another one and another one and another one. And I began to just drop every 2 weeks because that's all I could afford is to be able to drop every 2 weeks because you don't know that, like, a lot of times of what it's going to take financially. You just know you just got to go with it. And so as I went with it, I was like, okay. And I got to like episode 5, barely, right? I was ready to quit because I was dropping every 2 weeks. Ain't nobody paying attention to me. My social media ain't doing good. I don't know nothing about nothing. And even though I took the notes at Podcast Summit and I learned some things, it still was like I just didn't feel like I had the money. And I felt like money. I was like, how do we make money from podcasts? And how do we do this? Like, and I got the tips and the gems of how to do it, but it's just I didn't know how to apply it. And so I just tolerated not knowing. Then I said to myself, I had to go and get a mentor. And I got a mentor. Shout out Brendon Boyd. Shout out Real Money Bag Rich. Um, I got with Brendon and I went under his mentorship, and I was trying after that mentorship for at least about a year afterwards. But I learned something, that I had a voice and I had a reason of why I needed to do it and a purpose. And so as I developed that purpose became my passion. I didn't no longer think about, oh, I don't have, oh, how I'm gonna do this or what I'm about to do. I just went out there and started doing it. And with the fundamentals of what Brendon gave me, I applied myself. I have, different things lined up now. I got my first digital product, my 21-day accountability challenge workbook down there in the bio. And I was like, all right, I'm on it. Got my VIP packages for some good content and different things of that nature. And I also just know that, like, guess what? It is what it is. It's gonna be what it's gonna be. And like I say, bosses don't take losses; they learn lessons. And so, what made me even more lethal in the game is when I linked up with Real Money Bad Rich. What he taught me was that if you say you gonna do something, do it. Don't I'm gonna see what you made of. And so he let me in. I got to visit his studio. He let me cook, and as I was just cooking, he kept coaching me, kept giving me little tidbits and gems. And shout out Dan too, Dan the man. So he came through too with some good edits and different things of that, and Sims and different people of that nature. But as I began to kept recording, like I got to 10, I got to 11, I got to 12, I got to 13. Then I ended up going to Atlanta, and then I linked up with my boy Tevin. He got me together. Also D Boogie, he got me together, and these episodes I started pumping, y'all. Brendon told me, "Why are you dropping every 2 weeks? We need to drop every week." And that's what I started doing. I started applying. You got to start really, really applying what you learn. And remember that bosses don't take losses, they learn lessons. And as I laid out the blueprint, I just had to apply myself, and it became applicable to my success in the podcast game. My name is real, a little vulgar to most, but once you get to, learn it, hey, it's nothing that you want to turn away from. And so at that same token, I also ended up with 12, 13, 14, 15, and so on and so on many episodes. And now I'm at episode number 36, and I've been 2 years running, and I have met some wonderful people, shout out 239 too as well. And as I begin to learn and I begin to travel back and forth and all through the different states doing this podcasting, I was like to say, man, just get up and do it, right? Like, we don't have to worry about the losses. We just have to become big bosses, and we have to just adjust the blueprint a little bit, maybe erase a little bit, start over, or maybe just keep going. Never give up on yourself. Never doubt yourself. And again, like I told you, bosses don't take losses, they learn lessons. And then as you begin to do your thing, this is the loss that built me. And I had to become a fearless leader in my era, in my game. And also, too, I have to say this, is that I ended up not only just developing that 21-day accountability book, but we also got the reset, realignment, accountability 30-day program, man. It's out now. Hey, link in the bio, link down there. Hey, shout out to the best two coaches, Jess and JR. And like I say again, guys, this is the loss that built me, and I'm here to stay. I'm not here to play with you. You know what I'm saying? So listen, click like, subscribe. Let's get these numbers up. Hey, tell a friend to tell a friend. Jump in and get in with JR on the Real Shit Let's Talk podcast. Thank y'all for everything that you've done. Thank y'all for listening and tuning in. And again, bosses don't take losses. We out. Thank you so much.